The moment my sister rushed to my ailing grandfather's bedside, demanding to care for him before I could even move, I knew. She'd been reborn too. In my past life, my sister Seraphina and I both qualified for interviews at an Ivy League university. But on interview day, Grandpa Arthur suddenly took a turn for the worse. I chose to stay and care for him, missing my chance. Seraphina, though, went on to enroll successfully. As it turned out, Grandpa Arthur left his entire estate to me before passing away. I achieved financial freedom without ever having to struggle through college. Seraphina, on the other hand, had a miserable time in college. She constantly alienated her peers and even managed to anger a professor. Eventually, she took all her frustration out on me, shoving me off a rooftop. I died instantly. After my death, my fiancé Lucas helped her fabricate an alibi, claiming I'd been depressed and had jumped. They then forged my will and stole everything I owned. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day Grandpa Arthur fell gravely ill, the day I had to choose whether to starve and care for him. Grandpa, let me take care of you. I'm not going anywhere. Seraphina darted past me and burst into Grandpa's room. As she held his hand, vowing to care for him, then demanded he hand over the pocket watch that symbolized his inheritance, I knew. She'd been reborn too. Clutching the family pocket watch Grandpa handed her, Seraphina turned with a defiant smirk. Sorry, Stella. The inheritance is mine now. I just shrugged. I wasn't planning to fight you for it. Seraphina clearly didn't believe me. She scoffed, tucking the watch into her bag. How could that be? You only stuck around Grandpa because... She abruptly stopped herself. I knew where she was going with this. In my past life, I'd chosen to stay and care for Grandpa. Because of that choice, I missed the deadline and arrived too late for the interview. Seraphina got her acceptance letter from the Ivy League school, but Grandpa, in return, left everything to me. She enrolled in college. I inherited the fortune. But in college, everything fell apart for her. She crumbled under the pressure and pushed everyone away. In a violent rage, she pushed me off that rooftop. Seraphina smirked. I'm not going to college. You love being a bookworm so much. Stella, you can have my spot. I nodded toward Grandpa. Then, without hesitation, I turned and left for my interview. That night when I got back to my apartment, there was Lucas, my fiancé, with his arm around Seraphina's shoulders. I must have been blind in my past life, only realizing on my deathbed they'd been in this together all along. When they saw me walk in, they didn't even hesitate. Their faces showed open defiance. Lucas looked at me with disgust. Stella, the one I really love is Seraphina. I was only with you because your family had money. But now things are different. Seraphina is about to inherit a fortune. We'll never have to worry again. I won't have to settle for someone as dull as you just for money anymore. My fists tightened. So that was their game. My own sister and my fiancé. I'd always been so easygoing with them, never minded their little slights. Now I saw them for what they were, leeches, clinging to me and draining me dry. Since fate gave me a second chance, I'd make sure they paid back 1,000-fold for everything they took from me in my past life. Seraphina scoffed. Stella, I used to let you have your way because you were useful. But now I'm getting an inheritance. I'll never worry about money again. What could you possibly offer that compares? You'll be stuck as a struggling student forever. But Lucas and I, we're set. We're going to travel the world. That's a life you'll never even imagine. They packed their bags and moved out of the apartment that same day. I watched their retreating backs and let out a cold laugh. How naive. Did they really think it would be that easy? I used my interview and got accepted to the Ivy League university. This was the best opportunity someone from my background could hope for. The university was far from home after taking it over with my parents. I decided to rent a small apartment near campus. I went to a real estate agency, and the agent, Mr. Harrison, had just shown me several properties. Suddenly, a familiar voice boomed from the doorway. Someone needs to help us right now. Show us your best apartments. I turned to see Lucas strutting in with Seraphina on his arm, a cocky smirk on his face. When they saw me, they immediately sauntered over and sneered. Stella, drop the act. You can't actually afford a place here, can you? I checked even if you sold earlier, old stuff. You couldn't come up with a down payment in a decent neighborhood. At his words, Mr. Harrison's previously eager demeanor instantly cooled. I shot back. I can't afford it, but you two can? Seraphina lifted her chin with a smirk. Of course. I'm getting a 50 million inheritance. I could buy several of these places cash. Mr. Harrison's eyes lit up, and he hurried over to them. Ma'am, how can I assist you today? Seraphina raised her chin. I want that apartment over there. Mr. Harrison's eyes sparkled as he launched into a sales pitch. Ma'am, you have excellent taste. This is our premium unit with the best location and views in the complex. It's only 3 million, quite reasonable for someone in your position. 3 million? Lucas and Seraphina froze, clearly shocked. They hadn't realized apartments in good areas cost that much. Mr. Harrison added, if it's a bit steep, we do offer financing options. Seraphina bristled at the suggestion, pride wounded. She lifted her chin defiantly. Financing? I'm getting 50 million. I'll pay cash. Mr. Harrison's enthusiasm grew even more hearing that. If you're interested, we just need a 10% deposit to hold it. Lucas and Seraphina exchanged nervous glances. I frowned, losing patience. I doubt you'll ever see that 50 million. Are you just here wasting everyone's time? If you can't afford it, stop wasting our time and leave. Lucas's face turned red with anger. Shut up. Seraphina, we'll get that inheritance. The paperwork just isn't done yet. I waved them off. Whatever. I'll take this apartment then. They both panicked when they heard that. Seraphina gritted her teeth and stepped forward. I want this apartment. Just wait. I'll get a loan and pay the deposit right now. Over the next few days, Seraphina and Lucas flooded their social media with travel photos from around the world. Every post was filled with luxury items. They even took out high-interest loans to buy a house and a fancy car. I watched their reckless spending with watching coldly from the sidelines, knowing such excess always leads to ruin. I just blocked them on everything. 3 months into the semester, Grandpa took a turn for the worse. This time, there was no saving him. The day of the funeral, Seraphina posted in the family group chat. After the funeral, we're having a small gathering at the house to thank everyone for coming. Please be there. She even messaged me directly. Stella, you have to come. Grandpa would want the whole family together. I simply replied, okay. A lot of relatives wondered why she was having this gathering after the funeral. Only I knew why. She was desperate to flaunt her victory in front of everyone. After the funeral service, everyone gathered at the house. That's when Seraphina and Lucas finally showed up fashionably late, with Seraphina clinging to Lucas's arm in a bright red dress that screamed, party, and clashed horribly with the somber mood. They immediately drew every eye in the room. They looked completely different, dripping with expensive clothes and jewelry that felt totally out of place. Seraphina started passing out expensive gifts to all the relatives and younger guests. Family and friends, thank you all for coming to say goodbye to Grandpa today. Please stay for dinner, my treat. Relatives stared at them like they were crazy. People started whispering about how inappropriate this all was. Seraphina pulled the pocket watch from her designer bag, waving it around for everyone to see, fake tears in her eyes, but a huge smile on her face. Before he passed, Grandpa gave me this. It means I get his whole inheritance, $50 million. The room went silent for a second, then everyone started talking at once. 50 million? Grandpa left all his money to Seraphina? Oh my goodness, that's... Finally, one of the older relatives spoke up. Seraphina, your grandfather just passed. Has the lawyer even read the will yet? How do you know about this inheritance already? Seraphina waved her hand dismissively. Grandpa promised me directly. This watch is proof. The paperwork will be done soon, and the money will be in my account any day now. I'm just honoring his memory by showing him I can handle things. Someone in the crowd muttered under my breath. Wasn't Lucas dating Stella? What's he doing with Seraphina now? Facing their confused and disgusted looks, Lucas just pulled Seraphina closer, not even fazed. Everyone wants to get ahead in life. You all understand that, right? Stella might get into a good school, but she'll just be some overeducated academic. Seraphina's different. Besides, Seraphina and I are actually in love. That comment made a lot of relatives frown. One relative spoke up. But Stella got into an Ivy League school. That's a real future. Seraphina almost laughed out loud, shoulders shaking with amusement. Ivy League? So what if she goes there? Will she ever make 50 million in her lifetime? These days, a fancy degree doesn't mean anything. Just more studying and an uncertain future. She then looked triumphantly at me in the corner. Stella, even though you don't deserve to be here, if you're nice to me, maybe I'll remember we're family and help you out. The other relatives were shocked by her behavior at the funeral, faces red with embarrassment, but held back from saying anything out of respect for the occasion. Some of the more kissed-up distant relatives already started gathering around her. Seraphina is so responsible. Grandpa made the right choice. Our family will have to rely on Seraphina from now on. Exactly. Don't forget about us relatives when you're rich. Deep down, they knew Seraphina had a point. 50 million was more than most people made in a lifetime. Some even started putting Stella down to butter Seraphina up. Seraphina's just being practical. Stella might graduate from an Ivy League, but she'll still be working for someone else. She can't compare. I smiled faintly, standing quietly in the corner. The opportunities from a top university were worth more than any amount of money to someone with vision. Seraphina had crashed and burned in my past life because even with money, she couldn't buy class. Her insecurities always gave her away, making her a joke in high society. After everyone ate, Seraphina touched up her makeup, smoothed her expensive dress, and walked to the center of the living room like she owned the place. Meanwhile, I noticed about a dozen people with phones and cameras had quietly joined the crowd. Seraphina gave them a little nod. So she planned this whole spectacle for Grandpa's funeral. Seraphina pulled out the pocket watch again. Facing the obvious live stream cameras, she put on a fake cry and spoke in a loud whisper. To everyone watching, thank you for sharing this sad moment with me. I just lost my dear Grandpa Arthur, but he left me his love and about $50 million. Now I can honor his memory without struggling to get by. But look at my sister, all she does is study. She'll be stuck in college, just another academic drone with no real future or dignity. She gave me a pointed look as she said. The live stream chat blew up immediately. I couldn't read the comments, but they probably were nice. Seraphina didn't care. She suddenly pointed at me, speaking in a stuck-up tone. Stella, Grandpa's lawyer should be around organizing papers. Go get him. We'll read the will right now with all the relatives and viewers watching as witnesses. I said nothing. Lucas stepped forward, looking annoyed. Stella, are you deaf? Today's about Seraphina. She's honoring you by asking. With your status, you're not even good enough to shine her shoes. Just run the air and maybe she'll throw you a bone later. Some relatives couldn't take it anymore. Grandpa's barely cold in his grave. What is this? Stealing her sister's fiancé and showing off at a funeral. Seeing I wouldn't budge, Seraphina put on a sad but strong face for the cameras. Stella, wake up. Grandpa left me everything. We're in completely different leagues now. I'm giving you a chance by asking nicely. I checked my watch and said calmly, we'll wait 5 more minutes. Seraphina had no idea what I was planning. She kept up her camera-ready smile. Fine. But waiting won't change the fact that Grandpa left me his inheritance. I smiled faintly. We'll see about that. Just then, a sharply dressed middle-aged lawyer with a serious expression walked quickly in from outside. He addressed Seraphina, who was surrounded by people, in a deep, firm voice. Miss Seraphina, according to the will, your grandfather did not leave you his inheritance. Everyone turned to watch him stride directly towards Seraphina. While everyone was still shocked, he stepped into the center of the room, facing Seraphina and the relatives. I'm here to read Grandpa Arthur's will, he announced. He continued. Before his death, he updated his will. All his assets go to his oldest granddaughter Stella, not the younger one. You'll understand why shortly. I need to make this perfectly clear today. The room fell silent. Everyone looked stunned. Seraphina snapped out of her shock and screamed. That's a lie. Grandpa promised me. Look at this. She waved the pocket watch in the air. Lucas jumped in to defend her. Who are you? Some fake lawyer? Seraphina obviously got the inheritance. If you've got proof she's lying, show it. The lawyer ignored him. He pulled a tablet from his briefcase, tapped the screen, and held it up for everyone to see, including the cameras. Proof? Here it is. The relatives crowded around to look. Surveillance footage appeared on the screen. Is that Grandpa's living room? That's him in the wheelchair. And Seraphina's just sitting on the couch scrolling through her phone? Seraphina turned white. She tried to grab the tablet from the lawyer. On screen, she watched herself ignoring Grandpa's calls while scrolling on her phone. Her eyes went wide with terror. How is this possible? Where did you get these? She grabbed the lawyer's arm. This is illegal. Where did you get these recordings? The lawyer glared at her. Your grandfather installed these security cameras himself for safety when he was still well. They're completely legal. Any problem with that? Seraphina relaxed slightly, then laughed mockingly. You're just trying to stir up trouble. You think some edited videos can change how Grandpa felt about me? Someone must have paid you to do this. Before the lawyer could respond, Seraphina pushed him away. Just leave. You're obviously jealous. Seraphina fixed her hair and said, it's clear what's happening. This so-called lawyer is using edited video clips to slander me. He must have taken bribes to cause problems. The relatives didn't look convinced. Their expressions were mixed. Grandpa installed the cameras himself, so the videos must be real? The timestamp says last month, when Grandpa was already really sick. Did Seraphina really treat Grandpa like that? Maybe there's a misunderstanding? The lawyer held the tablet, looking serious and annoyed. Some relatives went over to ask him questions. I stood back, watching the scene unfold coldly. Seraphina sneered when he didn't leave. You can't twist things with a few random videos. You're just a hired goon. You don't understand my relationship with Grandpa. I'm his favorite granddaughter. Of course he left me everything. She smirked, looking disdainful. The relatives started whispering. Grandpa paid for her education. In his last 6 months, Grandpa was so weak. Stella and the nurses were the ones taking care of him. Exactly. Grandpa spoiled her. And now she says this? No conscience at all. Seraphina heard them, but just scoffed. She thought they were all jealous or paid off by me. Seraphina glanced around, then pointed the camera at the lawyer. Everyone watch. I'm inheriting Grandpa's estate, and this guy is framing me with fake videos. He's not even a real lawyer, just an actor putting on a show. Remember his face. Don't fall for scams like this. The lawyer pointed at Seraphina, clearly angry. That's nonsense. Lawyers stand by evidence and ethics. I would never lie about this. The original video files with timestamps are right here. Do you dare get them professionally authenticated? You did those things in the video, that's why you're so scared. Seraphina scoffed. See? He's panicking because he got caught. These videos aren't proof. Grandpa's pocket watch and his promise to me are. But the lawyer's next words stopped everyone cold. My evidence? The last official will your grandfather signed while he was still of sound mind. Your name isn't even on it. The room fell completely silent. Seraphina's voice shook. What did you say? The lawyer glared at her again. Your grandfather finalized his will long ago. None of his assets were ever meant for you. You call me a liar? Liars don't have verifiable proof like this. Seraphina staggered back like she'd been hit. Everyone gasped. A legal will? So the pocket watch and promises don't matter? She acted like she was the heir, but Seraphina panicked. Lucas quickly put his arm around her. It's okay. Don't listen to him. He's just trying to stir up trouble for attention. Seraphina calmed down a bit. Exactly. You evil lawyer. How dare you mess with me? I'll sue you for slander. The lawyer looked at her in disbelief. Do you think I have nothing better to do? I was hired by the rightful heir to handle your grandfather's estate. The will and documents are clear. Why would I waste time with your little show instead of doing my job? Seraphina was so angry she almost laughed. Then an older relative spoke up. Seraphina, you said you had grandpa's token, but words don't mean anything. The lawyer has proof. Why don't we go to the notary office now? It's close by. The relatives agreed. Yeah, let's go ask. The truth will come out. The lawyer's here, so let's settle this today and let grandpa rest in peace. Let's go. Let's get this over with. Soon everyone left the house, heading for the nearby notary office. But they were in for another shock. As we reached the door, 2 police officers approached. Seraphina turned white. She stumbled forward, voice shaking. Officers, is this about? One officer looked at our confused group. We received a report of elder abuse. We're here to investigate. Seraphina's vision blurred, and she almost fainted. Lucas's hands shook. You mean, someone reported us to the police? The officer nodded. Yes. Which one of you is Seraphina? Please come with us for questioning. The lawyer stepped forward with his documents. Officer, I have surveillance footage proving Miss Seraphina abused her grandfather. Seraphina spun around, eyes bloodshot, and lunged at me. An officer quickly stopped her. Seraphina's eyes were red with rage. She yelled at me. Stella, what is this? You set me up. Everyone looked confused. What does that mean? What's Stella got to do with this? Seraphina struggled and screamed at me hysterically. I smiled coldly at her and Lucas. You were the one who rushed to devote yourself to Grandpa, remember? I never forced you. Lucas grabbed my arm. Stella, I know you did this on purpose. You knew Grandpa cared, so you tricked Seraphina into looking bad. You knew about the cameras. You set her up. I slapped Lucas hard, knocking him down. Bullshit. Even if I knew about the cameras, did I make you scroll through your phone by his bed? Did I make you lose patience with him? You created your own evidence. The relatives defended me. Lucas is terrible. He was Stella's fiancé, but left her the second he thought Seraphina would get the inheritance. Now he wants to blame Stella for not taking care of Grandpa? No one forced them to be so fake. They only have themselves to blame. I looked down at Lucas and the hysterical Seraphina. You two have time to fight? You should worry about paying back those millions in loans. At my words, both froze, turning pale. Seraphina's teeth chattered. Mortgage, car loan, maxed out credit cards, that's 5 or 6 million total. Everyone gasped. Seraphina, are you crazy? You took out all those loans before even getting the inheritance. She was acting rich earlier, offering to pay for everything and giving expensive gifts. Now what? Where will you get that kind of money? Lucas stood up and slowly backed away. Seraphina looked at him anxiously. Lucas, how will we pay this back? Lucas frowned. What are you talking about? The loans are in your name, not mine. You're the one who said you'd get the inheritance. Seraphina stared in disbelief. Lucas, I took out the loans, but we spent the money together. I don't care. You have to help me pay. Lucas scoffed and slapped her. You liar. I should be mad at you for getting my hopes up. Now you want to drag me down with you? Forget it. I smiled faintly. Perfect. They were finally turning on each other. Seraphina lunged at Lucas, scratching and hitting him. You bastard. You never loved me, you only wanted my money. You're just as responsible for this debt. I'm not letting you get away with this. Lucas slapped her again. Seraphina suddenly dropped to her knees in front of me, grabbing my leg. Stella, I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Please save me. You and Grandpa were close. Talk to the lawyer. Talk to the judge. I don't want the inheritance. Just help me pay the debts. If I can't pay, I'll be ruined. Please. I'm begging you. I almost laughed. Seraphina really thought I'd clean up her mess? Like I'd ever be her doormat again. I crouched down, grabbed her chin, and whispered in her ear. In my past life, you 2 leeches drained me dry. Did you really think you could pull that again? Do you really think I'm that stupid? Seraphina's eyes widened in terror. You also? That's right. I was reborn, just like you. Seraphina shook her head violently. No. Impossible. If you were reborn and knew Grandpa would leave money to whoever cared for him, why did you still go to that interview? Why didn't you fight me for it? She suddenly grabbed my hand. Wait. In the last life, you took care of Grandpa and got the inheritance. This life, I took care of him. Why is the inheritance still yours? You weren't even there. I patted her cheek, laughing coldly. Who said I didn't take care of Grandpa? With her staring in shock, I pulled out my phone, opened a photo album, and held it up for everyone to see. Relatives, officers, everyone. When Grandpa was sick, I flew home every break. These are my messages with his doctor, every test result, every medication change. I tracked it all. I scrolled through the screen, showing more photos and videos. And these? FaceTime calls where I read him the news when he felt up to it. I put my phone away, looking at her pale face. And you? You were right there, but you treated caring for him like a chore, only cared about the inheritance. He'd ask for water, and you'd complain he was bothering your TikTok scrolling. Do you think Grandpa was stupid? He knew who was sincere and who was faking it. I went to that interview because it was my future, but Grandpa was always on my mind. I might not have been physically there, but I did my part. You were right there. What did you do? Seraphina went limp, collapsing to the ground with empty eyes. As I turned to leave, she knelt and bowed repeatedly. Stella, I was wrong. Please help me. You have the inheritance, now just pay my debts. I'll be your servant. I'll do anything. For our parents' sake. Please. I pushed her away. Sisters? When you pushed me off that roof in my past life, did you think of us as sisters? Seraphina, don't you get it? You're here because you're rotten to the core. Your greed, your lies, they're what dragged you to hell. She finally understood. So that's it. You knew what Grandpa really cared about. You let me put on that show. You told me about the apartment to provoke me. I took out all those loans. And the lawyer, the footage, it was all your plan, wasn't it? I smiled, not denying it. I had set things up. But if Seraphina had even an ounce of real care for Grandpa, if she controlled her greedy impatience, none of this would have happened. She dug her own grave. Seraphina's phone rang. She answered, and a woman's voice said, Miss Seraphina, this is a reminder about your $3 million loan. Payment is due in 10 days. Seraphina turned pale and hung up. Another call came immediately. She shut off her phone. It won't help. They'll find you even with your phone off. A few days later, creditors sued Seraphina for unpaid debts. She tried to drag Lucas into it, claiming he spent the money too, but it didn't work. Only her name was on the loan papers. Legally, Lucas's spending was considered a gift from Seraphina. Relatives returned the expensive funeral gift sum for less than they cost. Even the dinner bill got split among them. Even without anyone else's help, Seraphina was doomed to drown in debt. Later, she got 3 years in prison for fraudulently taking out loans using the inheritance as collateral. She begged our parents to save her, but they were so disappointed they wouldn't even see her. Lucas thought he'd gotten off easy, but the story went viral online. Branded a gold digger and fraud accomplice, he couldn't get hired anywhere reputable. Finally, he resorted to charming wealthy older women to survive. When I heard about it from old classmates, I wasn't surprised at all. Money was always his first priority. Besides, he'd gotten used to living the high life with Seraphina. There was no way he'd go back to struggling. But Lucas's luck ran out fast. His first sugar mama had a powerful husband with connections. Lucas ended up in a dark alley, beaten within an inch of his life, both legs broken for good. When he woke up, he was delusional and violent, so they committed him to a psych ward. Years later, Seraphina got out of prison. Our parents took her in, then quickly married her off to a divorced guy. No one ever saw her living large again. By then, I graduated from a top university and started over. Caring for Grandpa wasn't just about the inheritance, it gave me peace of mind and a fresh start. I donated all the inheritance to charity, just like Grandpa.